please don't you talk to me. Lately I feel like you look through me. Nothing really feels quite right when he comes around. And awkward talks and broken locks keep us drifting further every evening. All the while a little more seeming you found the one. Being alone when he comes around. But tell me, love, when he goes back home, won't we all be a little alone? And all we'll have our lovely thoughts of long nights beside the phone. And there's nothing in this world more lovely than your home. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't give to be your own. And there's nothing in this world I wouldn't give to be your lovely one. He's the always leave me lonely. It's obvious now. You never would have told me if everything here is going according to your plan. Then why, oh why am I alone in the end? There's nothing in this world more lovely than your home. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't give to be your own. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't give to be your lovely one. There's nothing in this world. You're like nothing in this world. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't give for you. But there's nothing in this world that he would. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't give for you. But there's nothing in this world that he would.
This is WKNC 88.1 FM HD1 Raleigh. You're listening to Off the Record, a podcast series here at WKNC where all types of musical artists are interviewed. I am your host, The Loaf, and I am here with Blank State, coming all the way down from Charlotte. How are y'all doing?
Doing good.
We're great.
Doing great. Happy to be here.
Thank you all so much for coming down and stopping by WKNC. I'm glad that I was able to catch you guys. You're having a local show at School Kids, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's with Weymouth Moving Boxes and...
Hassle and One, which is a really cool emo band from Alabama.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, again, thank you so much for coming into the studio. I'm glad to have you guys here. Introduce yourselves. You know, what's your names? You know, what instruments do you play? What's your role? Yeah.
All right. I'm Sam. I play bass and I do all the recording, mixing, and mastering for the band. I also play synth sometimes, but bass is my main thing.
I'm Jacob. I do the guitars, the vocals. I do most of our songwriting, and I move around a lot.
I'm Seth. I play drums and I do all of our booking, and I'm kind of like the contact person.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I love local bands, especially ones that just sort of just like do all their own stuff, like between their members, like all the booking, all the mix, all that type of stuff. It definitely gets that sort of vibe of just like very, not necessarily DIY like the genre, but just sort of just like you're just kind of trying to make it out there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So how long has a Blank State been around? Your first thing was from 2021. Has it been around before then? Have you guys been together making music before then? Like what's your history as musicians together?
Yeah, so Blank State has existed for 6 years probably. We formed when we were all like really young. We were probably like middle school age, I think.
Middle school or like early high school.
Yeah, and we started off just playing a bunch of different covers just because we didn't know how to play our instruments and we wanted to figure it out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Weezer.
Yeah. I was about to say that the station has a Weezer poster and you signed it and you guys mentioned that. That's awesome.
And then as we got better, because I was always like writing music, but I wasn't very good. And I was like, you know what? maybe I could practice this, and eventually it got all right, and that was about 2020. We were like, this stuff is good. People should hear this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So was it that sort of just like you looking at your guys' self and the music that you've created, and you just sort of like you felt more confident about it, and you're just like, okay, we want to try to make this official. We kind of just want to pull this together. Was that how you all sort of generally felt, or is it just kind of like a time coming?
100%. I think when we were playing covers for a few years, the goal was to start playing original music. We were like, we don't want to just go out and play everybody else's music all the time. And so once we got a group of songs that we were like, okay, we can put this out, we started recording. And recording's a whole different game because we had only played live. So that was a whole different thing, learning, recording, and writing and all that. But I think we waited long enough that our first thing that we put out, our EP, was pretty decent for a first release.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Nobody's ever gonna hear the stuff that was before that.
Yeah, no, it's no way.
Nobody's gonna hear all the covers on how so they
Dude.
guys did a Weezer.
Oh well, you'll still hear Weezer covers sometimes.
Okay,
We'll get
okay.
into one at our last when we played at Amos' South End in Charlotte. The
Yeah.
crowd bullied us into playing "Say It Ain't So."
Oh
They wanted
my
it so bad.
gosh, that's like that's our worst song to like cover too personally. Just cover something from Pinkerton, get that sort of like weird stuff in
Yeah.
there.
we used to cover El Scorcho.
We used to play El Scorcho.
Oh, dun, dun,
We
dun,
were
dun.
really bad at it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the song's already bad.
Yeah.
It's a good
So
time, though.
I feel like you can play it well, but
So what was your cover band name? Was it still Blank State or?
It was the same thing,
Okay,
It
cool.
was 2 words though.
Oh, okay, it was just two
It was
words.
2
words, no period.
No period at the end. Yeah.
Cool. So I guess more philosophically thinking about this, sort of just in general, what is Blank State to you guys? Is it sort of like an expression of your emotions, like all togetherness, like what is it to you?
I feel like it's a bunch of different facets. Like in songwriting, for me at least, it's kind of I've used it especially like on the EP. I think it was just trying to write something that I thought sounded good, and then when we got to like our full length album, it was a lot of like more expression and like trying to be more honest through music when I couldn't do that like in person.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if I can't like speak what I'm thinking, at least I can put it in a song and then it's somewhere.
Okay.
But in terms of that's like songwriting. In terms of everything else, I feel like I just think of it as like hanging out with my friends. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say like when it comes to like the name or like the concept of the band, I don't think that we've really set anything in place for it to be like what we mean as a whole. But I think that the people that like come to our shows and like they like meet each other and have like fun in the audience and like genuinely we've like accidentally brought like a bunch of people together to like all hang out with each other, and now like all of the regulars that come to our shows are all friends with each other. So I feel like they kind of made what Blank State is without us. And when we kind of just watch it and we're like, that's pretty cool.
We caused someone's first kiss.
Oh,
We're
really?
responsible,
We did
yeah.
cause someone's first
That's
kiss.
awesome. First kiss at a Blank State show.
It
That's
was
awesome.
during Jasper Never Cries. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the perfect song too.
It's so funny. It's so like fast. Like I
It's
don't
so
know why.
fast, I would be panicking.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
like, you know,
synth
you
solo.
kind of catch a moment of serenity, just sort of just like
Yeah.
come into it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an interesting thing to happen. I'm sure other interesting things have happened at our shows that we don't know about. I'd like to hear some stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, like, does the name mean anything? I think you mentioned that it doesn't mean anything, right? Just kind of just like, it's just
No.
kind of just like,
It really doesn't
blank.
mean too much, but I've always thought in my head that it's kind of funny to think of it as shortened for blanket statement, but that's not true.
yeah.
I just
yeah.
it's not
Okay.
that's not a true statement. We were just trying to come up with things, and it ended up just being kind of like a filler name. And then I think at some point we were trying to figure out a way to kind of change it up a little bit or make it look a little bit better, and that's why we ended up putting it together and adding the period at the end. I feel like that gave a lot more like life to the name.
We had
Okay.
to compete with the other blank state from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
There's also one from Denver too.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
There is one from Denver that I was looking up. Every time I look up blank state website or like Bandcamp, there's always one that comes up from November. From
See,
Denver, sorry.
If we had
not
real
November.
documentation of how long we've had the name, I think that we outlast the one from what you said, Missouri.
New Hampshire.
New
Yeah, I think
Hampshire?
they
Yeah.
already,
Close enough.
I think they're already done. They haven't
Yeah,
posted
they
in a
I
haven't
think they
posted in
broke
a few years.
We're
But,
gonna put all the other blank states out of business.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I,
let's
I
go.
believe that we have outlasted and outperformed any other blank state. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying.
That's so fun.
Seniority at that
I
at that point.
I DM'd them and they didn't respond.
Ah.
So we'll see.
How long have you guys been playing your respective instruments? You said it's been since middle school, right? How long has that been?
Okay, so I've been playing drums kind of off and on for like a really long time. I got a drum set when I was 8. And I was 8, so I didn't I didn't like care about it at all, and I kind of forgot about it for a few years. And so I started playing for real when I was like 11, so I've been playing for like 7 years.
Okay, I don't have a year count. I just know it was like probably the same year or a year before we started the band.
So that
So
was
probably like 6 or 7 years. Probably
Yeah.
like 6 years. Maybe.
Okay.
I started learning bass. I learned bass for a talent show that we were playing because we needed it. But before then, I played like other instruments. I think bass was been probably about
yeah.
just around when we started. We just realized that because I played piano before mainly, and we realized like that's not a good third instrument to have.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you got the synths, which you have been in your music. I've heard obviously. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got that out of it,
there's some
right?
background synth.
Yeah.
I never play those on stage though.
Okay.
But yeah, I do some synth stuff in the background.
It's funny they mentioned bass. Learning it for a talent show. I actually learned bass myself from a senior project I had to do for my for my high school. So it's kind of like you said that, and I kind of unlocked something in my brain. Like, oh my gosh, that's when I actually learned it when I was like 16, 17.
No one learns bass on purpose.
It's always on accident.
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Cool. Moving on to your music, how would you define your own music? I feel it is very sort of like, if it's into emo / indie, kind of just like sort of just like in the wind, I guess is the feelings that I have. It's sort of more of a slower drive. How do you guys sort of define your music individually and sort of collectively?
Really all over the place.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say a lot of it's super different, super interesting. Our general umbrella term is usually just indie or indie rock.
Yeah.
If people ask.
Yeah.
But like everything, I don't know, we try to bring some different like energies to a lot of the stuff we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one thing that's interesting is if you listen to all the music that we have out right now, I'd kind of just call it indie or indie rock. But if you come see us live, we
Emo.
I don't know.
Evil.
We perform so hard. Like we just have such a good time like going crazy on stage that every time we're done with a show, everybody's like, "Yo, you're my new favorite emo band," or something like
We're
something like
we're
that.
playing major seventh chords for half an hour. This is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So it's
We just play like soft indie songs as hard as we can.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is it's super fun. I do kind of like playing softer songs hard than probably harder songs hard.
We played a show last night in Charlotte at the Visualite Theater, and after the show, someone told me that I get more off the ground vertically than most people do.
Just like physically,
Yeah,
you're just like jumping
Oh,
around.
it's
Yeah.
just jumping
Is this
around.
some type of ska stuff or something, or are you just like
Dude.
pick it up, pick it up, pick it up,
Yo, pick it up.
pick it up? So would you say that I guess more so like your self opinion, is music genres and sort of music in general more based off just like the sort of theory behind it, or is it more just sort of like the emotions and the purpose and the intent behind it? So like when you're fitting into different genres, because personally that's how I see it. That's why I sort of classified you guys as emo, because a lot of the emo songs I listen to put me in that state of very like emotional vulnerability and just sort of very generally just sort of being more open and sort of flowing. That's how I sort of define emo, just more or less. Is that how you guys sort of see music just personally in your own personal lives, or is that?
Like genre wise, it feels like the presence of genres has been so like skewed. I feel like you can call yourself whatever and do whatever at this point, which is kind of fun. Um, I don't exactly think that when we're making music, we try to fit it into a specific thing, but I guess I think that a genre is more about just how you feel about the music, because some people wouldn't agree with the artist on what they're actually called, or people that go like they delve into like the very technical genre terms. I think that I would say it's mostly based on emotion and the songwriter.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a big fan of just people being like, I don't care how we sound, we are this genre.
Yeah.
Like that is like, cuz then it just adds to so much like diversity within genres.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the new like emo music coming out right now is so different and I love
Like
it.
all the fifth wave emo stuff.
Fifth wave emo is my favorite genre of music, dude.
There's so many memes like in WKNC and stuff about fifth wave emo. It's just so hilarious.
I love
like,
fifth wave emo.
it's all good, but like it's like it's so much. It's such a memeable. I feel. I don't
It
know.
is so memeable because it's all over the place.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
none of it sounds even remotely the same.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I would say genre is definitely based on feel. I think I think genres are kind of based on the people that listen to them and the people that crowd around a certain type of music. So I feel like you could make any type of music, and then like if all the indie kids are gravitating towards it, you're kind of just like an indie band at that point. Like I think
Yeah. Okay.
I think genres are a social construct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the answer.
That's sort of
No,
that's sort of how I feel about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of like favorite like inspirations or like bands you like to draw from? Any sort of like daily rotators that you're like, yeah, I want to like either sound like that or I want to take this from that or yada yada yada. Or just kind of just whatever.
As long like especially lately that we've been like touring and like playing with a lot of bands, it's honestly like so much of it is shows. Like we'll play a show with a band and I'll be like, that looks so fun. Like whatever they're doing looks so fun. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that always has a lot of influence on what I write, but also like I don't know. Like I said, I've been listening to a lot of fifth wave emo and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like my like favorite bands right now are like Home Is Where, Your Arms My Cocoon, like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been influencing me a lot, mainly to just get better at playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. That's where a lot of the influence comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything
I-
else?
I think Jacob does most of the writing, so we
Yeah.
left
Yeah,
out
yeah.
that one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So your first EP. Let's go on to the specifics, I guess.
Yeah.
Your first EP, Alone in the End, right?
Yeah.
It is almost at its 2-year anniversary. May 2nd, 2021 was when it released.
That's way closer
I
than
really
I thought
Yeah.
it
we
was
were,
actually.
we were supposed
Yeah.
to do something for that.
We'll
did-
figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Whoops.
No, I was trying to find dates for it, like when it actually released, and it doesn't like specifically say on Spotify. So I went to your Amazon Music, and yeah, it was May 2nd, 2021.
Yeah.
So, I guess retrospectively, how do you feel about it overall? It's your first EP. It's your first sort of, I guess, like official, sort of like, I guess, official quote unquote, sort of like your own sound as a blank state. How do you feel about it?
I think it's really fun. I like
Mhm.
it. I think we were so focused on like one thing that I remember we talked about when we were writing it was like this is a short EP. It's 5 songs.
Yep.
Everything on here has to feel like it has its own spot and has to feel like there's no lulls in it.
Mhm.
So we wanted everything to be like the most like energetic stuff we could make.
Okay.
And I think it worked out well. I think they're still really fun to play. I think people like them.
Yeah, I don't know. It has like I don't know. The EP just kind of makes me happy. Like the songs that are on there. I feel like I just like thinking about how like well it was received with like our friends and like other things. Cuz like once you go to a full-length album, like our album has 12 songs. Like
Mhm,
everyone
yeah.
has a song that they don't like on it or like something like that. But I feel like with the EP, we didn't really. It was like too short of songs to have like really any negative response. So it just felt like we were making something that all our friends really like,
Okay.
which felt like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the EP because it's like a sign of the times, I guess. Because like back then, like that was our first attempt at being like a band, like going from covers to playing like we're like, okay, we're a real band now, we play our own music. So it's so like I know that in that headspace, at least I wasn't taking drums seriously yet. I'd been playing off and on for a few years,
Mm,
but like if I go back and listen to that EP, like my drums on it, super basic. But like we were doing our best, and I think it aged well. And I
Mhm.
think one thing that's fun is that we play songs from the EP now, and we kind of make them our own now. Like I play
Okay.
a lot of the songs from the EP differently than I did on the EP, just
Yeah.
for fun, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to change lyrics and stuff.
Nice.
For one, like I'll add lyrics. I don't usually change them because I'm like people know the song as is.
Mhm.
If I could like completely change the lyrics of one song for a show just to throw everyone off, I would rewrite the entirety of Lovely One and just see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess that's one that most people recognize you from, or
That's-
like seem like it's your most popular one,
That
at least
is-
assuming
that
the Spotify charts.
Yeah, that is our most popular song, and it does usually get a lot of people singing along.
Yeah.
But like, it's like that thing when you like write a song about like a person or about something where you're like, I don't really care about the situation anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it would be fun to just like rewrite it and just be like, I don't know. It's a very like song like that seems like I'm like I care a lot about this person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like at this point I just don't. Even when I read it,
Okay.
I was like, you know what?
Okay.
So I'm like,
It's kind of whatever.
yeah, I'm like I could turn it into a diss track or something. That'd be fun.
Lovely One diss track
Lovely One
remix.
diss track would be great.
Number one diss track, lovely one. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Man, now I want to talk about lovely one now.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
we can. Let's do it.
Okay, so it's you said that it was like more about just like somebody and just sort of like I'm not gonna ask you like who specifically it was, but
Name your
drop 'em.
Instagram
Name
out
drop 'em.
right now.
Sure.
So I guess how is it like performing that live? Do you have you don't have as much of an emotional connection to it as you did. Do you ever have like something about it like emotionally about it, just sort of, or is it just something where it's kind of like, because with the general album, I feel that it is really more structured and reserved, but you're still kind of like you're yelling out into the void and hoping that something comes back, or you just kind of just like you're just yelling out in there, you know. So is that how you feel about most songs generally, and sort of like lovely one about it in the EP?
Like as far as like emotional connection when we play it, Lovely One and stuff, it's mainly like a connection with the audience at that point. Like
Okay.
I whenever I play that song, it puts me in a good mood because I love how people react to it. Like when we play at like
Mhm.
hometown shows and people know that song, I'm like, this is so fun. Like we made this, especially because that was a song that I wrote like back in our cover era, like
Okay.
early on, and then
Okay.
I just saved it, and I wasn't sure at the time. I was like, I don't know if this is good. And then we put it on the EP, and it was like a fan favorite. So
Nice.
that's a fun connection there. I would say there's the only songs that ever make me emotional when we play them, like really that like actually get me, are like some stuff from the album.
Yeah.
Like we've only played it's like my favorite song on the album is Nine Tails, Companion / Nine Tails.
Mm-hmm.
We've only played it once, but that was like one of the most like emotionally draining performances I've ever done.
Yeah.
And then Open, a lot of sometimes when we play Open, there's something
Mhm.
about it that just hits me, and I'm like, I am about to cry in the middle of this
Yeah.
song.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the chorus. I think you really nailed it on the head when you said like it feels like you're just yelling out in the void, and just hoping something responds back. Because with that chorus, the exact type of thing I was going for was like you are just like the only line in the chorus is I am open, I am open, I am open to you,
Mhm.
and just repeating it. And I was really just it felt like an affirmation of just being like, this is what I want to be, and I'm just gonna say it until it's true.
Okay.
And so that sometimes when I hit that chorus, I'm like, dang,
Mm.
now's not the time. I got stuff to do.
Yeah. Oh man.
You guys have any emotional connections to our?
No.
No.
Um,
Stone Cold Steve Austin over here.
No, so there are a few songs that just like kind of make me emotional. Just they're like nice sounding or like they're just nice songs. The only one that I have a specific like personal connection to is "Say It Back," which is on the
Yeah.
EP. That was the one song that I wrote. Um,
Okay.
it's similar to "Lovely One" in the way that I don't care about the person that it
Mhm.
was about anymore. It was this person I was like interested in, and I was like, uh, I thought we kind of had like a mutual like feelings for each other, and it ended up being that I was just like making it up or something because I had feelings, but the other person didn't. And so I was like, I'm gonna write a song about this, and then I realized like that wasn't the I don't know like some people it's like I'm glad that the song happened and stuff, but some people don't need a song. So
Yeah. Okay.
but another thing is that's interesting is the person that I wrote that song about got married 6 months
Ooh.
after it came out,
Uh.
which is crazy. But I think at that point I was already with my current girlfriend.
Yeah. So say it back. Most popular, famed, at least apart from that, is the Minecraft oof.
Mhm.
Yes.
Which is like when I heard it, I was like, this is funny, this is great. But also sort of like um going back to how you felt about it, it definitely does seem like you're sort of confessing just this sort of love and just sort of hoping to get something back, and you kind of know that it's not gonna come to fruition, and you hope that it doesn't affect you too much. Is that sort of like a good read of it, or is it just kind of just like
Yeah. Pretty much the song is just like, here's how I feel. I want you to tell me that you feel the same, but I don't want to hear it if you don't. Which
okay.
there's a specific lyric. Do you know which one it is? I think it's in the chorus.
In the
Because
chorus.
I don't really know if I could take a no.
I don't really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is just kind of like it's like I really want you to just tell me, but like don't tell me something I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's mostly what that song's about.
I think my favorite lyric in that song, or one of my favorite lyrics in that song, is in the bridge, and it says, "When it comes, will you let me down easy?"
When it comes, when you let me down. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
and I guess it sort of like was evolving throughout the song because it's at least in that part you're kind of accepting it. But we were writing this part. It's supposed to be an instrumental. I was like, I feels like there's a lyric that has to go over this, and that's just like what popped in my head, and it kind of just worked out like that. Um, and that's that final kind of just like sort of letting it go, but just like when it goes the way that I don't want it to, at least don't make me feel too bad about it.
Okay.
So like at the time, I had a crazy emotional attachment to the song, but probably even by the time it came out, I was
I use it as a form of closure where it's like if there's something that I feel like isn't wrapped up neatly in my brain, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I gotta write something about
Okay.
it, close it up, and then I can look at it as a song. I don't have to look at it as
Okay.
this thing that was occurring or something,
yeah.
you know.
But
Okay.
the really interesting part about songs that are like that is that people will then connect what they're feeling in their situation to the song, even though technically it's about a situation that like I experienced or Jacob experienced, but especially Say It Back, people tell me very often that that song means like a lot to them, and it's kind of
Yeah.
funny because it's like these people are actively going through what I wrote the song about. But at this point, I've already moved on to it, and I hope that that song helped someone move on from a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting hearing that and like people that are just like really attached to some of the songs that we write, because it just resonates with them. So it's cool to like. I guess it's not cool if they're going through something that sucks, but
Yeah.
it's cool to think that we are relating with people and they're kind of like understanding like in like what the principle of our music is and
Okay.
just relating it to their own life. That's
This album, in general, it gets me really anxious. I feel a lot of anxiety and sort of like emotions, but it just sort of like coming out and coming into it.
So the general vibe of the album, I tried to keep a loose thread of just trying to be more open and honest.
Mm.
And it seemed like the like being like trapped in like a spot where you're like, I don't want to, like talk about what I'm going through, but seeing that like not doing it is like, not doing me great. So I'm
Okay.
just like trying to like desperately be like, here's everything that's inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Take it or just
Okay.
send it off,
Okay.
Which I think is like kind of represented in like the album cover with like the island, all the little guys.
Yeah.
Where they are eternally waiting. We me and the artist, we had like a bunch of lore behind it.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Okay. Yeah. Say
they're
it.
eternally waiting because they're in that spot where it's like, they're the equivalent of being in that spot where you're like, I want to be open and be honest, but I'm just waiting for something to get me there, and they're waiting for somebody to pick them up, but it's probably not going to happen.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and I think one thing is that I don't remember who said this or if it was one of us, but the in comparison to the EP, the EP was kind of like it was songs about certain like emotions and kind of like dances around them, and like people can draw their own conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the album just kind of like makes you feel it.
Yeah.
It like pushes
Okay.
you directly through the emotions, and
Yeah.
like it's like in the EP we're talking about the things that are happening, and when you listen to the album, at least when I listen to the album, it feels like I'm feeling exactly what the song is about. And to the point where like there's a song on there that we talked about a little bit earlier, Companion/Nine Tails,
Mm-hmm.
that is about the loss of Jacob's pet.
Well, that's on your full length, not on your
Yeah,
EP.
full
Yeah.
length,
Yes,
full
on the
length album. And I've heard from multiple people that song is so sad that they can't even listen to it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's one of the lower streamed ones on it, and I think it's
I think it's
because
'cause
that
it's too
song
sad.
is
'Cause that's
so
it, yeah.
accurate to the feeling of like loss, and like it's such like a sad song that I don't even think people like to listen to it, which
Mhm.
to a certain extent is like I think at that point it just served its purpose exactly how it was supposed to, because it was just meant to display the actual feeling. It doesn't exactly need to be like a popular song, or like it doesn't have to be like catchy, or like I mean I think the songs are pretty catchy, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the focus to make like a song that people like want to hear all the time, but just the thought of just putting them through the emotion.
And that song is the only song where I cried writing it, cried recording it, and I did cry a little bit playing it the only time we played it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to go to just bounce off what you said really quickly about putting people through the emotion, I think that was a big step that I took in my own writing process between the EP and the album.
Mhm.
Is when I was writing, when we were all working on the EP, I had the mindset of like, okay, write about like the emotion you want to, but keep it a little bit vague so it's still relatable.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to put that much of yourself into it. You can keep distance, people relate to it. But when I wrote the album, specifically the first song I wrote for the album, like once we knew we were working on the album, the first song I wrote was Jasper Never Cries.
Mhm.
And I came from it from a place of, if I write about exactly and very specifically what I'm going through, people will connect to it if they do. And if they do connect to it, it's going to be way stronger
Okay.
than if they vaguely relate to something kind of like it.
So I guess that's a good transition to your full length album. The world is not kind to these things. I love the album cover. Super cute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love all the little dinosaurs and like the beach and all that type of stuff. Your merch is also great, by the way. Who does all your art for all your stuff?
So we try to source it in different
Okay.
places. So the album art was from like one of my very best friends, Jordan Aldrich.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Jordan.
Shout out Jordan.
Shout out him. Yeah.
So she did all the album artwork, which turned out really, really well, and I'm really pleased with it. But all of our other merch is sourced from a bunch of different places.
Cool.
We've got Gilly art, Ghost Gills, did our classic Blank State Sucks hoodie, which sells so well
Yeah,
with the ghost.
it's awesome.
I love that design. Yeah, we had a bunch of different artists do our stuff. We like to source it from local people.
Cool. full-length album. I feel like a lot of bands, or at least a lot of local bands, don't really try to do full-length albums. They always try to put out singles or EPs. I know, this is a full-length, like, 12-song album. How long did it guys? How long did it take for you guys to write it? I think Sam, you hit it at earlier, where you kind of like you all sort of you make your own music as well, like individually, like you kind of write your own songs. How was the whole how was the whole process of it? Like, how many songs are, was this very collaborative? Was it very like singular, where somebody would come and be like, hey, I got something for a new song. Let's try to expound upon this. Like what was it like?
So for the, I'll start us off and I'll pass it off.
Yeah.
But so for as far as the album goes, songwriting wise, I wrote all the songs for the album. It was like very much like I was like in my head, like locked myself in a room, like, you know what I mean? I didn't actually lock myself in a room, but I was like, I would just, try to be very alone with the music, and I started writing a lot of poetry. So
cool.
That whole process kind of like elevated my love for songwriting so much that I just wrote the full 12.
Okay.
But Seth, you want to talk about how long that took us?
Oh yeah, you're good. No, you were killing it.
We got Seth. You do the mixing and stuff, right? Or no, Sam. Sorry,
Yeah, Sam
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Sam does the production. So I think it took like a year. It was a year and a half between our EP and our album, which is a really long time. I just realized that. I think technically, if you're talking about getting more streams, getting more followers, releasing singles and EPs like a lot of local bands do is way smarter. Like, like with Spotify, like there's a thing where you can like pitch your songs to be put on playlists and stuff before you release them, and that does a lot for your fan base. And if you release singles, you can pitch each song, but if you release a full album, then like you can only pitch one song from it, for example. So it's probably not the most like smart thing for promotion to do like a full-length album right off the bat like that, but I think we just wanted to put out something that was really cohesive and really its own body of work that was all work together. So I think that was a cool thing to do. Yeah.
I think that was less commercially. I don't think that we really have ever tried to make something commercially successful.
Yeah.
Like beyond the point that we're like, do we think people will like this? I think that's as far as we go with that. So I think that like if we wanted to focus more on like that, we probably wouldn't have done an album that soon. But I think that we just focus more on making it as like a art form, and then just trying to please the people that are so supportive of us at our shows.
Cool.
So we just wanted to have. We also, another thing that we wanted to do was have enough for an hour set, without having to play any covers.
Yeah.
So
That's perfect.
that was
No
another
Weezer
thing that we
covers.
thought, 'cause
Yeah.
you'd probably have to have 2 to 3 EPs, to fill an hour without having like too many slow songs or like like other things like that. So the album worked out for us and just gave us enough like fast upbeat songs to play at our shows, and a few like slow ones for a little section in the middle that to get kind of give people a little bit of a break before the end. But,
Okay. Did so this album, you guys seem a lot more confident individually with your instruments, with your sort of music, how you guys sort of flow together, or at least sort of making your own stuff. I feel like every instrument in most songs has really a time to shine, and just sort of like you can. Because I personally love songs where I can listen to one instrument during one playthrough and just like kind of just like focus on that and like completely go through it, and I can do it for another one, and I can do it for all these other different parts. I can do it for together. Earth Tones. I really like Earth Tones because I feel like it's definitely that sort of song for me. Were you guys a lot more confident in sort of like putting stuff together? Were you guys sort of more just sort of like flowing sort of easily with sort of like making your own music? Like what like do you guys feel that way about it?
I really like Earth Tones instrumentally too. I think that's one of the more interesting sounding songs. A lot of our songs kind of like they don't sound the same, but they have like a I don't know, they're similar and like a way that like it's a cohesive sound. And then when we play Earth Tones live, we can always see people kind of like wake up a little bit and be like, hey, what's going on here? Like I do like a Latin dance groove in that song for some reason, and I don't know why.
I don't know why, but it reminds me of like sort of a very jazzy, just sort of just very just like smoothly going along, with sort of like everybody just sort of like not doing their own thing, having their own improv sections. Like it's funny they mentioned the Latin thing because like again, it's sort of like gives remind me of it, but I don't know.
It's weird sometimes the just kinds of parts that we add into songs, because like instrumentally, like if you think about like Lovely One, which is like it's like yeah, we're an indie band, and like the vocals are similar to that, but we're just singing that over a dance beat. So like the drums are like a dance beat. It sounds like we're like it's just like a very funny thing to just throw random just like styles into songs that don't necessarily you wouldn't normally think of it of like doing of that working, but I think that it's funny to throw things in and then just have them work out like that.
And I think specifically Earth Tones was such a good example of like us writing, like I think it's one of our best examples of us writing parts that all just like click together.
Yeah,
like every
much so.
instrument just locks in with like each other. Especially because when I wrote that song, it was way slower, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, this might be a little kind of like groovy sort of thing. I don't know, it might be kind of on the softer end. And then when I brought it to Seth and Sam, and I was like, okay, here's the song. I don't know, it's kind of might be a little bit slower or whatever. I think the first thing that happened was Seth put the drums over it, and I was like, this has to be much faster than it is right now.
Yeah.
And we sped it up. I was like, this sounds really cool, and like the way that they like tied together is really really cool. And then Sam wrote a bass part that I would have never thought to write. That like ties like I was like, dude, that sounds so like clean with it, and it all just meshed together. And as soon as I heard everything, I was like, this is how this song is. Like,
nice.
I remember when like we were like in our like practice space, like playing the song to try to figure it out. And once we got that like that run that just locked everything together, I was like, that is like exactly what we need. Nice. We didn't have the bridge though, like the end part, like the oh friends aren't friends. We didn't have that whole instrumental section for like a really long time. We just didn't know what was gonna go there. We were like, something will happen here.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah. And then one day I was like, because I was trying to write something that was equally as like complex on like guitar and stuff, and I was like, what if we just wail on it for like the whole rest of the song?
Yeah, just like two chords just over and over again, just keep going.
Yeah.
That's like the most emo we've gotten on our like release stuff, I think. It's nice. Fun. It's a fun time.
So also I guess we did mention it earlier, Jasper Never Cries. You mentioned that it makes a lot of people in your shows like feel really crying and sort of just like get into it, right? Is that one?
It ropes people in. That song, that song's really like energetic.
Yeah.
It makes people.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. No, you're good. It gets people going though.
Yeah.
I will say it is one of the best like crowd like response songs.
Okay.
Like people get going during that song, especially like when we play like hometown shows. That is the one where like even like with like in-ears and stuff, we'll play it. Like when we played at Amos at South End, I could hear people singing it back to me, and I was like, this is like one of the weirdest things I've ever like witnessed.
Yeah, I don't know, like at the section like pretend it's okay.
Yeah,
it's like it's just it all kind of gets into it. It's very catchy. It also, that's one you have a music video for too.
Yes.
Right. How was it like shooting that music video? How was like playing that song and sort of like creating it? Like, how was it?
It was one drive to Raleigh, the planning session.
Oh
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, Seth, you want to talk about planning that we live streamed that No, after.
Yeah, okay, so the first time we played in Raleigh was at like an art vendor festival called the Geek and Grub Market.
Okay.
Shout out Geek and Grub.
Shout out Geek and Grub
so nice.
for putting us on. Yeah, we love them. But we just like we drove there and they gave us a vendor booth to set up our merch and we played like outside and like this little we got rained on. It was a whole thing. But anyway, that was like the first time we like traveled for a show, I guess. And so on the way home, we were like, okay, we have this song and we want to make a music video for it. It was Jasper Never Cries. And we were like, let's just spend the whole drive thinking of a music video idea and we can't stop talking about it until we find one. And then if you just think about the idea of the music video, it was like Jacob had like this little character drawing on his phone that was like supposed to symbolize the song in some way. He was like, what if I just dress up as this character, walk around downtown? And then it just got weirder. We were like, what if Sam and I were building a bookshelf?
Yeah, I was about to say, you like building like some IKEA bookshelf or something.
Sam and I were building an IKEA bookshelf, and we were like, what if the whole music video was Jacob getting closer to us, and then at the end he smashes the bookshelf that we just built? All
Spoiler
of our
if you haven't seen it.
Spoiler if you
yeah, go watch it.
I mean, like you're on the bus and you just sort of just like you're getting closer. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I'm on the way.
If you
But-
want a little bit more insight into how that was to record, we do have a behind the scenes video on our YouTube.
There is a
as
behind
well.
the scenes of us
Okay.
filming it, yeah. The only thing that the idea just kept getting weirder and weirder. I will say, I don't know why. We were like, yeah, okay, I'm dressed up as the character, as Jasper, right? And I'm going with this axe to go smash them, whatever. I don't know where the axe comes from. I just show up and I just have it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we drew the line after I smashed the shelf. We drew the line. We were like, okay, we can't do the getaway go-kart. We have to cut that idea
Oh
out.
my gosh. It's a getaway go-kart.
Yeah,
Seems like
let's
Mario
be a
Kart.
getaway
Oh my
go-kart.
There was
gosh.
gonna be a getaway go-kart, but we were like,
We're
that's too
this
far.
is too far. No, but all
We
of our
also
music
almost
videos.
burned Seth's house down with that fire. We just like we were so worried that the fire was gonna like spread when we did a fire at the end.
Oh yeah, so there's at the end of the music video, there's like we put all the pieces from the bookshelf into a little fire pit and we set it on fire. And if you think about it, it's kind of lame to set a fire but do it in a fire pit. So we were like, we initially were gonna do it in my driveway, and we literally poured gasoline, and then we were like, wait,
Oh my gosh.
we were like, hold on, we could very well cause a really bad fire and burn down my house if we do a gasoline fire that's not contained. So then we spent a long time cleaning up our mess, and then we put it in the fire pit.
And we just pretended in the music video that we were burning the pile that was on the
You can't-
driveway.
Yeah, you can't tell. We really didn't need to pour gasoline on the driveway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much, blank state. I was about to say blank slate, but blank state for coming down to WKNC and talking with me. It was great. Where can people find you and your music and whatnot?
Yeah, so you can find us. We're most active on Instagram at blankstate.official. We have all of our other social medias and stuff in our link tree there, so you can find us there. We have tickets for shows if you want to see any upcoming shows, our website, our merch. If you're in Charlotte and want to see us in May 18th at the Evening Muse with Moving Boxes.
It's gonna be great.
It's going to be a fun
Okay.
show.
Cool. All right. Well, and thank you so much, the listener, for listening to Off the Record here at WKNC. I've been your host, Alof. This has been WKNC 88.1 FM HD1 Raleigh. Thank you all again so much, Blank State, for coming down. It was great having you guys.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
us.
All right, and to get us off of this, well, coming up, I guess we're I'm gonna put on both Earth Tones and Jasper Never Cries. Is that good for you guys?
Amazing.
All right, yeah. So hopefully you all enjoy. Thank you so much for listening.
Amazing.
Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Tomorrow we play in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then 2 days, no, the day after that we're supposed to play in Chicago.
Now I've gone colorblind to earth tones, 'cause everything's gone green and brown in me. And I'm hyper fixated weigh me down by